Today we're going to be talking about installing a fuel filter for your 1965 to 1966 Mustang. And really this can work for any classic car, and I highly recommend it because it's going to save your fuel system. Let's get to it. I want to talk about this filter. You can get this filter at any local auto parts store. They're very cheap, and I highly recommend to get clear ones so you can see what kind of crud you're stopping and you can do your maintenance. We had replaced a rusty fuel tank. Ow! Look how rusted this is. Look at this. Golly. Look at that. That is crazy. We left the original lines because they seemed pretty good, but there was still some kind of rust in the fuel lines, so I installed this. So we've gone through one fuel tank of 91 octane. It's time to clean it up, so I'm going to open it up, clean it up, and service it so you guys can see it. But let me show you some close-ups of all the gunk that it caught. Look at that. All of that could have been in my fuel system. I'm going to start taking it apart with a 1/2-inch ratchet. Here we go. Just unscrew it, and you can pop this off. And then there's this like thread thing you kind of spin, and it comes right off, and you can take your filter. And what's cool about these filters are replaceable, so I could check it, inspect it, make sure everything's okay. I'm going to clean it all out with water, and then I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so we're here to my kitchen sink. I put a little microfiber rag, make sure nothing falls down the sink, but you can see how cruddy this thing is. You just look at that. That's so bad. I'm going to go ahead and start rinsing this thing off real quick. I'm going to make sure it's nice and dry. This is a little glass piece. Alright, so here's the fuel filter. This is the out. Make sure you put this in the right spot on your 66, 65 Mustang. Your out is what's going to be feeding, that's going to be clean fuel, which is going to be feeding into your fuel pump. For my car, this part goes into my fuel pump goes out into a fuel pressure regulator, out of the fuel pressure regulator into a Edelbrock carburetor. This part right here, where it says in, this is going to be coming from my fuel tank. So there's going to be an outlet coming out of your left side. If you're standing in front of your engine bay on a Mustang, it's going to be on your right side, driver's side of the engine bay. You're going to hook this line in, which is going to be your source line from the fuel tank. Most Mustangs, if they've been sitting around for a while, the caps go bad in the rear of the Mustang. So you get condensation in your fuel tanks, and most of the time are rusty. So I highly recommend them no matter what you have and how long. If it's been sitting for a while, replace your gas tanks. They're not that expensive. It's not that hard. You get a complete kit for under $200. So we did for this system. Sometimes you have to change the fuel lines. I didn't change mine. I kept the original one, but I put this in line to make sure I didn't get any contaminants into my fuel system. You can buy better ones, I'm pretty sure, in Summit Racing, but I highly recommend you buy one that you can see and replace the filter, because this is reusable. You can keep using these over and over. You can probably buy those filters, which is all you really need, the filters and the rings which come with the kit, at AutoZone or any kind of O'Reilly's or any auto parts store locally to your house or location, for probably under 20 bucks. And the whole setup here, I think this now has probably gone up in price, but this probably costs you $30 complete with I think it comes with the 2 filters and 2 O-rings, which I replaced already on the first time when I installed it, because this was sitting in the car non-installed and I installed it. But I would have bought this anyways because I had this on my first 67 Cougar that I ran probably 60,000 miles with it, and it worked great. I replaced the filters every once in a while, and I always caught my contaminants, because if those contaminants get in a mechanical fuel pump, you're going to mess it up. I've done it before, and it'll happen to you, and you'll be stuck trying to figure out why is my car not turning on. What I did first, when I first got my 67 Cougar, which is similar to a 67 Mustang, I went ahead and bought a new fuel pump, got a new rebuilt engine, popped it all in together, put new fuel, and all of a sudden, before I put this fuel filter, my engine started and then it stopped working. Well, what I did is I got all that that's sitting in the rusty fuel tank, the fuel lines, because the car was sitting for 20 years, into my mechanical pump, into my carburetor, and into my engine. Installed one of these guys, had to replace this maybe, or clean it, do maintenance on it probably 5 times before I got all the new fuel tank, because there's going to be a lot of it living in the fuel tank, in the fuel lines. So that's a little FYI. that's that. So let's go ahead and install it. Here's a setup of my fuel system. This line right here, this is what feeds my carburetor, and this is going out of my fuel pressure regulator. They always recommend to get a fuel pressure regulator when you're running Edelbrock or any carburetor. When you're running a mechanical fuel pump, which I'm running here, off the shelf, and they're inconsistent of what they pump into the carburetor. And these carburetors like about 3.5 psi of fuel into the Edelbrock carburetor. So that's what this one's set up to. And there's a little gauge right here to kind of help me log that in. And here's the inlet that's coming out of my mechanical fuel pump. And then my mechanical fuel pump has a line that's going out where this guy goes in line, my fuel filter. And then it goes into the source, which is right here, out to my brand new Ford reproduction fuel tank. So let me go ahead and install this. I'll show you guys some close-ups so you guys can see my setup. This is a wide shot. I'm gonna give you some more close-ups. We're gonna zoom in to the primary fuel line. That fuel line is coming through our well, not our firewall, but our engine bay through the driver's side fender. And then it goes into my fuel filter, right? My fuel filter we just maintenance, into my mechanical pump, which is right there. And then it goes out of my mechanical pump into this guy, into my fuel pressure regulator, out of my fuel pressure regulator, into my Edelbrock carburetor. So that's pretty much the setup. That's my engine bay if you guys are curious. Still needs some work. I'll show you guys what the car looks like right now. So this is the condition the Mustang's in right now. All body panels are pretty much on. Doing some body work on that. My interior is getting more complete every day. Got my rear seats up here. That's my engine bay. My little 289, but it's been fun so far. Driven around the block, fun car. So yeah, I just want to share that with you guys real quick. I feel like it was a helpful video. It's a must-do upgrade for any classic car, especially a Mustang. So that wraps up this install video and showing you and explaining what kind of fuel system I did. I know my fuel system is kind of wonky. I'm going to be working on it in the future with some actual adapters and a little more professional. I just wanted to get the car running, and that's what I went with. And I know it's dangerous, so I'm going to fix that for sure. The main thing of this video that I want to take away, no matter if you can buy a better fuel filter than what I bought, I know people are going to be saying that that filter is not good, but whatever. As long as you use a filter that you can clean and keep an eye on, because if you can't really see it, you're not going to know the contaminants that are in there, and it could be clogged up unless you want to be doing it every month. Since I changed my gas tank and using old fuel lines, I literally had to change my fuel filter every month. So that tells you everything's new but the fuel lines. And I don't know if the fuel lines are corroded, because the fuel line was replaced at one point. It's not original to the car. So like I said, if you don't have an eye on it, you're not going to know how contaminated it is. And I highly recommend, if you can buy a better one that you can actually see, I would recommend that, because a lot of the like Edelbrock ones that I've seen are all sealed, so you don't know how dirty they get. But if you want, just get those and maintain it every month. That's the best thing I could tell you. So if you guys have any questions, leave comments down below. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.